The rain battered the glass walls of the Manhattan high-rise, a relentless drumbeat that matched the pounding in Ellie's chest. She stood alone in the sleek, empty office, staring at the email on her laptop. Promotion decision. Final interview tomorrow. This was it, her shot at the senior editor role she'd bled for, but the cost was a secret she could barely stomach. Ellie Harper, 28, had clawed her way up at Vanguard Press, a prestigious publishing house in New York City. She wasn't born into privilege like her colleagues. Her childhood in a crumbling Brooklyn apartment taught her to fight for every scrap of success. Now, standing on the edge of her dream, she faced a choice that could unravel everything. Her boss, Claire Voss, 30, was a legend in the industry, sharp, magnetic, untouchable. And Ellie was in love with her. It started innocently enough. 6 months ago, Ellie had been a junior editor, buried in manuscripts, when Claire, the executive editor, began lingering at her desk. Their late-night work sessions turned into shared takeout, then whispered conversations about books, dreams, and fears. Claire's laugh, rare and unguarded, became Ellie's addiction. But Claire was her boss, and the office was a minefield of ambition and gossip. Falling for her was reckless. Dangerous. Tonight, Claire had asked Ellie to stay late, citing urgent revisions. But the air felt different, charged, heavy. Ellie's phone buzzed with a text, "Meet me in my office." Now. Her stomach twisted. She'd heard the rumors. Claire's promotions came with unspoken expectations. Whispers of favors, boundaries crossed. Ellie had dismissed them as jealousy-fueled lies, but doubt gnawed at her now. What did Claire want? And what was Ellie willing to give? The office was a labyrinth of glass and steel, each corner reflecting the city's restless energy. Ellie walked past rows of empty desks, her sneakers silent on the polished floor. Claire's office door was ajar, a sliver of warm light spilling out. Ellie paused, her hand trembling on the handle. This moment could change everything, her career, her heart, her future. Inside, Claire stood by the window, her silhouette framed against the glittering skyline. Her dark hair cascaded over a navy dress that hugged her frame, and her eyes, usually sharp, softened when they met Ellie's. "You're here," Claire said, her voice low, almost hesitant. "I wasn't sure you'd come." Ellie's throat tightened. "You asked." "I'm here." She stepped closer, the space between them electric. Claire's gaze flickered to Ellie's lips, then back to her eyes, a silent question hanging in the air. The promotion, the rumors, the longing, it all collided in Ellie's chest. She wanted Claire, but not like this. Not as a transaction. "I need to know something," Ellie said, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "This promotion. Is it real? Or is there a price I don't want to pay?" Claire's expression faltered, a crack in her polished facade. "Ellie, it's not what you think." She stepped closer, her hand brushing Ellie's arm, sending a jolt through her. "But I'd be lying if I said I didn't want you." The confession hung between them, raw and undeniable. Ellie's heart raced. She'd spent months burying her feelings, convincing herself they were one-sided. Now, Claire's words tore through her defenses. But the rumors, the power imbalance, the stakes, they loomed like shadows. Ellie had fought too hard to let her career hinge on a moment of weakness. Yet, standing so close to Claire, she felt the pull of something deeper than ambition. "I can't do this if it's a game," Ellie whispered. "I won't." Claire's eyes darkened, not with anger, but with something fiercer, regret, maybe, or longing. "It's not a game," she said. "But it's complicated. You have no idea how much." The rain outside intensified, a mirror to the chaos in Ellie's mind. She wanted to run, to protect herself, but her feet stayed rooted. Claire's hand lingered on her arm, warm and steady. In that moment, Ellie realized the truth. This wasn't just about a promotion. It was about two women caught in a world that demanded they choose between love and power. As Claire stepped even closer, her breath warm against Ellie's cheek, The office seemed to shrink, the city fading away. Ellie's resolve wavered. She could walk away, keep her heart safe, and maybe lose everything. Or she could stay, face the risk, and discover what lay beyond the rumors. "Tell me what you want," Ellie said, her voice barely above a whisper. "No lies. Just you." Claire's lips parted, but no words came. Instead, she leaned in, her forehead resting against Ellie's, their breaths mingling. The world held its breath with them. The moment stretched, fragile as glass. Ellie's heart pounded, each beat a warning, a plea, a promise. Claire's forehead pressed against hers, their closeness a dangerous dance between truth and temptation. Ellie pulled back, just enough to search Claire's eyes. "I need to hear it," she said, her voice raw. "What is this? What am I to you?" Claire exhaled, her breath shaky. "You're not just an employee, Ellie. You never were." She stepped back, running a hand through her hair, her composure fraying. "But I'm your boss. I know what this looks like. I know what people say." Ellie's stomach churned. The rumors weren't baseless. She could see it in Claire's hesitation, the way her gaze darted to the door, as if expecting judgment to burst through. "Then why call me here?" Ellie asked. "Why now, the night before my interview?" Claire turned to the window, her reflection ghostly against the rain-streaked glass. "Because I'm selfish," she said softly. "Because I've spent months pretending I don't feel this. And tomorrow, when you get that promotion, because you will, Ellie, you're brilliant, I won't be able to hide anymore." The words hit Ellie like a wave, equal parts relief and dread. Claire wasn't denying the attraction, but she wasn't clarifying the cost either. Ellie's mind raced. She'd grown up in a world where trust was a luxury, where every opportunity came with strings. Was Claire's confession genuine, or a calculated move to keep her close? "I've worked too hard to be someone's secret," Ellie said, her voice steady now. "I've spent my life proving I'm enough on my own terms. If this promotion depends on us, I don't want it." Claire spun around, her eyes blazing. "It doesn't." "God, Ellie, I'd never," she stopped, her voice breaking. "Your work speaks for itself. The promotion was decided weeks ago. I needed to see you tonight. To tell you before everything changes." Ellie's breath caught. "Changes how?" Claire crossed the room, stopping just short of touching her. "If you get this role, you'll report directly to me. Closer than ever. And I don't know if I can keep pretending I don't want you." Her voice dropped, almost a whisper. "I don't know if I want to." The air thickened, charged with unspoken possibilities. Ellie's resolve wavered, her body betraying her with a shiver at Claire's words. She'd spent years building walls against rejection, against vulnerability, but Claire was dismantling them with every glance, every word. "Then don't pretend," Ellie said, surprising herself. "But don't expect me to play along without knowing the rules." Claire's lips curved into a faint, bittersweet smile. "There are no rules, Ellie. That's the problem. This world, our world, it chews up anything real. I've seen it happen. I've made it happen." Ellie frowned, sensing a deeper story behind Claire's words. "What do you mean?" Claire hesitated, then gestured to a leather chair by her desk. "Sit. Please. You deserve to know who I am before you decide anything." Ellie sat, her pulse racing as Claire began to speak. Claire's story unraveled like a confession, a childhood in rural Ohio, a scholarship to Yale, a meteoric rise in publishing. But success came at a cost. Claire had loved before a woman, years ago, a colleague who'd been her equal. Their relationship, kept secret to protect their careers, crumbled under the pressure of ambition and office politics. Claire had chosen power over love, and the regret haunted her. "I swore I'd never cross that line again," Claire said, her voice thick. "But then you walked into this office, with your fire and your talent, and I couldn't look away." Ellie's chest ached. Claire's vulnerability was a mirror, reflecting her own fears of being seen, of being enough. But the stakes were higher now. If they crossed this line, there'd be no going back. I don't want to be a regret, Ellie said quietly. And I don't want to lose myself trying to be enough for you. Claire knelt before her, their eyes level. You're already enough. More than enough. Her hand reached for Ellie's, tentative, seeking permission. Ellie didn't pull away. The rain outside slowed to a drizzle, the cities hum a distant echo. Ellie's mind screamed to run, to protect her heart, but her body leaned closer. Claire's touch was a spark, igniting something Ellie had buried for years. She wasn't just fighting for a promotion anymore. She was fighting for herself, for the chance to love without losing everything. Ellie's hand trembled in Claire's, the warmth of her touch grounding yet terrifying. The office, with its sterile elegance, felt like a stage where their lives were about to rewrite themselves. Ellie wanted to believe Claire, to trust the raw honesty in her eyes, but doubt lingered like a shadow. I need time, Ellie said, pulling her hand back gently. It's too much. I can't think straight. Claire nodded, her expression a mix of relief and pain. I understand. I shouldn't have put you in this position. She stood, smoothing her dress, reclaiming her composure. Go home, Ellie. Get some rest. Tomorrow's a big day. Ellie stood, her legs unsteady. Will you be at the interview? Claire's smile was faint. I have to be. But I promise, it's about your work. Nothing else. The walk back to her desk felt endless, each step heavy with questions. Ellie grabbed her bag, her laptop, her resolve. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the city slick and shimmering under streetlights. She hailed a cab, the yellow glow a small comfort in the chaos of her thoughts. At her tiny Brooklyn apartment, Ellie collapsed onto her couch, staring at the ceiling. Her life had been a series of calculated risks, leaving home at 18, scraping by on scholarships, enduring late nights to prove her worth. Love was a luxury she'd never afforded herself. Men had come and gone, fleeting and unremarkable. But Claire was different. Claire saw her not just as an editor, but as a woman with dreams and fears. And that terrified her. The next morning, Ellie dressed carefully, a crisp white blouse, a tailored blazer, her armor against the world. The interview was at 10 a.m., a panel of Vanguard press executives, including Claire. Ellie rehearsed her answers in the mirror, but her reflection betrayed her, eyes too wide, too vulnerable. She wasn't just fighting for a job. She was fighting for clarity. The Vanguard office buzzed with morning energy, colleagues darting between meetings, coffee cups in hand. Ellie felt their eyes on her, whispers trailing in her wake. Did they know? Had they seen her leave Claire's office last night? Paranoia clawed at her, but she squared her shoulders and stepped into the boardroom. Claire sat at the head of the table, flanked by two older executives, Mark, the CFO, and Susan, the editorial director. Claire's eyes met Ellie's briefly, a flicker of encouragement, then turned neutral. Professional. Ellie's heart sank, but she focused on the task at hand. The interview was grueling. Mark grilled her on budget management, Susan on editorial vision. Ellie answered with precision, her passion for storytelling shining through. But Claire's questions were the hardest, probing, personal, about her drive, her sacrifices. What would you give up for this role, Ellie? Claire asked, her voice steady but her eyes searching. Ellie hesitated, the weight of last night's conversation pressing down. I'd give up comfort, she said finally. Security. But never my integrity. Claire's lips twitched, a ghost of a smile. The other executives nodded, satisfied. When the interview ended, they thanked her, promising a decision by end of day. Ellie left the room, her pulse racing, Claire's gaze burning into her back. In the hallway, she leaned against a wall, catching her breath. A coworker, Jenna, approached, her smile sly. Heard you were with Claire last night, she said, voice dripping with insinuation. Hope it was worth it. Ellie's blood ran cold. It was work, she snapped, but Jenna's smirk lingered as she walked away. The office rumor mill was relentless, and Ellie was now its target. She needed air, space, anything to clear her head. She slipped into a quiet stairwell, her thoughts spiraling. Claire's confession, the promotion, the whispers, it was all too much. She loved Claire, she couldn't deny it, but the cost of that love felt like a trap. Was Claire worth risking her reputation, her career? And what if Claire's feelings were real, but the world tore them apart? Her phone buzzed, a text from Claire, "You are incredible today. I'm proud of you." Ellie stared at the words, her heart twisting. Pride wasn't enough. She needed truth. Ellie clutched her phone, Claire's text glowing like a beacon in the dim stairwell. Pride was a fragile offering when trust was on the line. She typed a reply, then deleted it, her fingers hovering over the screen. She needed to see Claire, to confront the rumors and her own heart. Back in the office, Ellie avoided curious glances and headed straight for Claire's office. The door was closed, but she knocked, her resolve stealing. "Come in," Claire called, her voice calm but expectant. Inside, Claire stood behind her desk, papers scattered, her expression unreadable. "Ellie," she said, softening. "I didn't expect you back so soon." "We need to talk," Ellie said, closing the door. "About last night. About the rumors. About us." Claire's shoulders tensed, but she nodded. "I know. Sit." Ellie remained standing, her voice steady. "People are talking, Claire. They think I'm trading favors for this promotion. Did you know?" Claire's face paled. "I've heard whispers. I didn't think they'd reach you so fast." She stepped around the desk, her eyes pleading. "Ellie, I swear, your work earned this. I've never." "Then why didn't you shut it down?" Ellie cut in, her voice rising. "You're the boss. You could have stopped this." Claire flinched. "I tried. But you don't understand how this place works. The higher you climb, the louder the vultures get. I've been through this before." Ellie's chest tightened. "With her? The woman you loved?" Claire nodded, her gaze distant. "Her name was Rachel. We were young, reckless. When people found out, they turned it into a scandal. She left the industry. I stayed and learned to play their game. And now you're playing it with me?" Ellie's voice cracked, betrayal seeping through. "No," Claire said fiercely, stepping closer. "You're different. I'm different. I don't want to lose you to this place." Ellie's breath hitched. Claire was close enough to touch, her scent, citrus and ink, overwhelming. "Then why does it feel like I'm losing myself?" Ellie whispered. "I love you, Claire. God help me, I do. But I can't be your secret. I can't live with people thinking I slept my way to the top." Claire's eyes glistened, a rare vulnerability breaking through. "You won't. I'll protect you. I'll fix this." "How?" Ellie demanded. "You can't control what people think." "I can try," Claire said, her voice firm. "Give me a chance to prove it. To prove us." Ellie wanted to believe her, but fear held her back. She turned to leave, but Claire's hand caught hers, gentle yet desperate. "Please," Claire whispered. "Don't walk away." Ellie froze, torn between running and staying. Before she could decide, her phone buzzed again, an email from HR, "Promotion decision. Congratulations, Ellie Harper." Her heart stopped. She'd done it. The job was hers. But at what cost? She showed Claire the email, her hands shaking. Claire's face lit up, but Ellie's expression was guarded. "This changes nothing," Ellie said. "I need to know I can trust you." Claire nodded, her jaw tight. "You will. I promise." The rest of the day was a blur. Colleagues offered congratulations, but their smiles hid questions. Jenna's knowing smirk followed Ellie everywhere. By evening, she was exhausted, her mind a battlefield of doubt and desire. She agreed to meet Claire for coffee after work, a neutral ground to talk, to find clarity. At a small cafe in the village, Claire was already waiting, her usual poise replaced by nervous energy. She wore a simple sweater, her hair loose, almost ordinary. "I'm glad you came," she said as Ellie sat. I almost didn't, Ellie admitted. But I need answers. Claire leaned forward, her voice low. I'm not perfect, Ellie. I've made mistakes. But what I feel for you is real. And I'll fight for it, even if it means risking my own career. Ellie's heart ached. She wanted to believe Claire, to let herself fall. But the world outside this cafe was cruel, and love didn't always win. The cafe's warm glow couldn't soften the chill in Ellie's heart. Claire's words hung between them, a fragile bridge over a chasm of doubt. Ellie sipped her coffee, its bitterness mirroring her thoughts. I want to trust you, Ellie said, her voice low. But this world, your world, it's built on power plays. How do I know this isn't one? Claire's eyes darkened, not with anger but with resolve. Because I'm risking everything to be here with you. If this gets out, I'm the one who loses more. My reputation, my position, it's all on the line. Ellie's throat tightened. She hadn't considered Claire's vulnerability, only her own. Then why do it? She asked. Why me? Claire leaned closer, her voice soft but fierce. Because you make me feel alive again. After Rachel, I shut down. I built walls. But you broke through without even trying. Ellie's heart skipped. She saw the truth in Claire's eyes, the rawness of someone who'd lost and was daring to hope again. But love wasn't enough, not when rumors could ruin them both. I got the promotion, Ellie said, shifting gears. But the whispers haven't stopped. Jenna cornered me again today, implying I earned it on my knees. How do I fight that? Claire's jaw clenched. Jenna's jealous. She's been gunning for your spot for years. I'll handle her. How? Ellie pressed. You can't just fire her for gossip. It'll look worse. Claire's smile was sharp, calculating. I don't need to fire her. I know how to play this game. Trust me. Ellie wanted to, but trust was a leap she wasn't ready for. They finished their coffee in tense silence, the weight of their choices pressing down. As they left the cafe, Claire's hand brushed Ellie's, a fleeting touch that sent warmth through her. Can I see you again? Claire asked. Outside of work? Ellie hesitated, then nodded. One step at a time. The next week was a whirlwind. Ellie started her new role, her days filled with manuscripts, meetings, and the pressure to prove herself. Claire kept her distance at work, her professionalism a shield, but her texts were warm, tentative, seeking connection. Ellie replied, cautious, but drawn to Claire's persistence. Then, at a staff meeting, Claire made her move. She announced a new transparency policy. All promotions would now include public documentation of the selection process. To ensure fairness, she said, her eyes briefly meeting Ellie's. It was a subtle jab at the rumor mill, a way to protect Ellie without singling her out. Jenna's face soured, but she said nothing. Later, Ellie overheard her complaining to a colleague, Claire's covering her tracks. The word stung, but Ellie saw Claire's strategy, deflecting suspicion without escalating the drama. That night, Claire invited Ellie to her apartment in Chelsea, a sleek loft with floor-to-ceiling windows. No work talk, Claire said, handing Ellie a glass of wine. Just us. Ellie took the glass, her guard still up. What are we doing, Claire? This could destroy us. Claire sat beside her, close but not touching. I know. But I've spent years playing it safe, and I'm tired. I want you, Ellie. Not as a secret, but as my equal. The words cracked something in Ellie. She set her wine down, her hand finding Claire's. Their fingers intertwined, and for the first time, Ellie let herself feel the possibility of them. They talked for hours about their fears, their dreams, the lives they wanted beyond the office. When Claire leaned in to kiss her, Ellie didn't pull away. The kiss was soft, then urgent, a release of months of tension. Ellie's heart raced, but it wasn't fear, it was freedom. For the first time, she felt seen, not as an editor or a rival, but as herself. But as they pulled apart, reality crept back. What now? Ellie asked, her voice shaky. We can't hide forever. Claire's eyes were steady. We won't. But we need a plan. Together. Ellie woke in Claire's loft, the morning light filtering through the windows, casting soft shadows across the room. Claire slept beside her, her face peaceful, unguarded. Last night had been a turning point, their connection deepening beyond words. But as Ellie watched the city stir below, doubt crept in. Love was a risk, and the office was a battlefield. At work, Ellie threw herself into her new role, her confidence growing with each successful project. Claire's transparency policy had quieted some rumors, but not all. Jenna's snide comments persisted, and Ellie sensed others watching, waiting for her to slip. She and Claire were careful, stolen glances, brief touches in private, but the secrecy weighed on Ellie. She wanted more than hidden moments. One evening, Claire invited Ellie to a literary gala, an industry event buzzing with publishers, authors, and influencers. "Come as my guest," Claire said. "Not my employee. Let them see us together." Ellie hesitated. "Won't that fuel the rumors?" "Maybe," Claire admitted. "But hiding fuels them too. I want to be honest about us, even if it's messy." The gala was held at a grand hotel ballroom, chandeliers glittering above a sea of tuxedos and gowns. Ellie wore a sleek black dress, her nerves masked by a confident smile. Claire, in emerald green, was breathtaking, her arm brushing Ellie's as they entered. Heads turned, whispers following them. Ellie felt exposed but exhilarated. They mingled, Claire introducing Ellie as our rising star. The praise felt genuine, but Ellie caught Jenna's glare from across the room, her presence a reminder of the stakes. As the night wore on, Claire's hand found Ellie's under the table, a silent anchor. "You okay?" Claire murmured. Ellie nodded, her heart full. "Better than okay." But trouble came swiftly. A senior editor from a rival press approached, his smile predatory. "Heard you're climbing fast, Ellie," he said, his tone suggestive. "Must be nice having Claire in your corner." Ellie's face burned, but Claire's grip tightened. "Ellie's talent speaks for itself," Claire said coolly. "Unlike some, she doesn't need favors to succeed." The man smirked and walked away, but the damage was done. Ellie's confidence wavered. "They'll never stop," she whispered to Claire. "They'll always think I slept my way up." Claire's eyes flashed with determination. "Then we prove them wrong. We live openly, unapologetically. Let them talk." Ellie wanted to believe her, but fear lingered. Back at Claire's apartment, they argued for the first time. "I'm not ready to be your public statement," Ellie said, her voice shaking. "I need to stand on my own first." Claire's face fell, but she nodded. "I understand. But I won't wait forever, Ellie. I want a life with you, not a secret." The words hung heavy as Ellie left, her heart torn. She spent the next few days focused on work, avoiding Claire's texts. The distance clarified her feelings. She loved Claire deeply, but she needed to prove her worth, not just to the world, but to herself. Then, a crisis hit. A major author pulled their manuscript from Vanguard, threatening to tank a key project. Ellie saw her chance. She worked tirelessly, negotiating with the author, revising proposals, and rallying the team. When the author recommitted, the victory was hers alone. Claire called her into her office, her smile proud. "You saved us," she said. "No one can question your talent now." Ellie felt a weight lift. "I needed that," she admitted. "For me." Claire stepped closer, her voice soft. "And us? Where do we stand?" Ellie took a breath, her decision clear. "I want you. But we do this right, no secrets, no shadows." Claire's smile was radiant. "Deal." Ellie and Claire stood at a crossroads, their love a fragile flame in a world ready to snuff it out. They agreed to be open, but cautious, building their relationship on honesty while protecting their careers. It wasn't easy. The office remained a gauntlet of whispers, but Ellie's success with the author had shifted the narrative. Colleagues began to see her as a force, not a pawn. Claire took steps to shield them both. She met with HR, disclosing their relationship under strict confidentiality, ensuring no conflicts of interest. She also demoted Jenna to a less visible role, citing performance issues, not gossip. The move was subtle but effective, silencing the loudest critic. Ellie, meanwhile, thrived in her new role. Her editorial instincts were sharp, her leadership natural. She and Claire worked as equals, their professional respect deepening their personal bond. Late nights at the office became late nights at home, cooking together, laughing, building a life. But challenges remained. At a company retreat, a drunken colleague made a crude remark about their relationship, testing Ellie's resolve. She confronted him publicly, her voice steady. "My work speaks for itself. If you have a problem, take it up with my results." The room went silent, then erupted in support. Claire, watching from the sidelines, beamed with pride. As months passed, Ellie and Claire grew stronger, their love a quiet rebellion against a world that demanded conformity. They attended events together, no longer hiding, their connection a statement of defiance and truth. The rumors faded, replaced by respect for their talent and courage. One evening, in Claire's loft, Ellie sat on the couch, Claire's head in her lap. The city sparkled outside, a testament to their shared journey. "I was so scared," Ellie admitted, her fingers tracing Claire's hair. "I thought loving you would cost me everything." Claire looked up, her eyes warm. "And now?" "Now I know it gave me everything," Ellie said. "You, me, us." Claire sat up, kissing her softly. "We're just getting started." Their story wasn't perfect. The world still judged, still whispered. But Ellie and Claire had built something real, a love that didn't bend to ambition or fear. Ellie hadn't traded her integrity for a promotion. She'd earned it, and in doing so, found a partner who saw her worth. As they stood together, watching the city glow, Ellie realized the truth. Love wasn't a transaction. It was a choice, a risk, a triumph. And they'd chosen each other against all odds, proving that authenticity could conquer even the harshest of worlds.